This is my story of how Apple kicked me to the curb. After 5 years of staring out the windows at apple trees, I decided it was time for me to go out there and pick one of those apples to see what the apples taste like. So the first apple I plucked from that tree was the iBook. And dealing with the iBook, I really liked the way the interface and everything looked. So I guess biting off the apple was one of the sweetest thing I did, and I was hooked. So after biting off that delicious apple, I wanted to go out and pick some more apple. And the next apple I plucked from that tree was the iMac, the G4, with the dome and the round speakers and the flat screen that moves around in all kind of different direction. And now I feel like I was hooked, and I guess I started to be an Apple fanboy from this point on. So I went back to the apple tree again, plucked another apple. Now we're talking about the iPod, the classic version with the hard drive built in. So now I was able to store all this music in this little tiny device, and I could take all my music with me in the car. I would hook it up via an audio cable. I would hook it up to my headphones. I'm talking about music galore. When I'm at work, I put on my headphones and I had music all through my shift. It was one of the sweetest things as far as music that I ever bought. Now that I had the iBook, I feel like it was getting slow and old, so it was time to go back to the apple tree and see what they got for me. Boom, another apple I plucked from the tree was the PowerBook G4, 15-inch, backlit keyboard, aluminum, you got it, that works. So, took that apple home and started crunching on it. I decided to do my own home base photography and website building, but the iMac G4 just ain't cutting the cake anymore. It don't have the juice. So guess what? I'm back at the apple tree. Now we're talking about the PowerMac G4, the Big Daddy. Yeah. So, of course, another apple got plucked from the tree. So with all these apples I've been crunching on, you'd think I'd be full. I wouldn't need anything else. But here comes the shuffle. A smaller device I can just clip on my shirt, and it's not as big as the iPod Classic. So, I don't need that many songs, just enough to take me to my work shift, and then I'll be good till the next day. I can reload it with some new songs. Of course, back to the apple tree, grabbing the iPod Shuffle. Now Apple done did it. They came out with a device that can run apps, you can make phone call, you can surf the web, the iPhone. I didn't get the first edition, but I went for the second edition, the iPhone 2. Man, I can't stay away from this apple tree. So at this point, you're probably wondering, how did Apple kick me to the curb? Well, from this point on, this is where it went downhill for me. First, my Power Mac became obsolete. Apple went to Intel processors, so the last operating system I could run on my Power Mac was Leopard. If I wanted to go to Snow Leopard now, it's time to get rid of the Power Mac and get something else. So therefore, at this point, I said, I'm just going to stick it out until that time comes where I can no longer operate my Power Mac, and I have to force to do that switch over. So, of course, I knew the time would eventually come when I had to get rid of the PowerMac. So, in 2010, I went back to the apple tree, plucked another apple, the iMac aluminum, and I have to admit, I really like this version of the iMac. So, I'm enjoying my iMac, and I just happened to look out the window while I was sipping on some tea, and there was an apple out there just glistening, blinging. So I went out there to check it out. Guess what apple that was? The iPad. So of course, I had to grab that apple. So now I've been rocking with my iPhone 2 all this time. Never had a need to jump to the 3 because the iPhone 2 was doing just what I needed to do. It could run apps, surf the web, you name it. But here comes another Apple, and that Apple was the iPhone 4. Went out to the tree again, pluck it, and it was mine. It's 2013, and the original iPad that I got was pretty aged, and they had different versions out there. So let's see what Apple had on the tree at that time. Luckily, they had the iPad Air, and that was the next apple that I plucked from the tree that I have today. Now, in 2015, this was a major turning point for me and Apple. I started reducing my Apple's devices. Of course, I had to get rid of the iMac, that was gone. The PowerBook was gone. The iPad original version was gone. I got rid of the iPod Classic and the iPad Shuffle because I could store the music on my iPhone now. The original iPhone that I had, the iPhone 2, was gone. So now I'm down to just the iPhone, iPad, and the aluminum iMac. And it started going even more downhill for me from that point on. I got rid of the iPhone, and I'm rocking an Asus Android phone because I can't add memory to my phone. There's no way possible you can do it. But with my Asus Android phone, all I had to do was go out and buy an extra 16 gigabyte memory card, slip it in there, and now my phone memory has expanded and I'm not running out of memory. That's the issue I had with the iPhone. I had to start deleting apps. I had to take off music. I had to keep on juggling just to keep that device going. And I shouldn't have to when it's so easy to just put memory card in a device and expand its memory and still able to do more on that device. And then I ran into the same issue with the iPad. One day I was using it and I started to add another app to the device. It tells me there's not enough memory. I gotta delete some of the pictures or music or whatever to make space. And I'm looking at this thing like, this is ridiculous. I spend $399 for this device and there's no way for me to expand it. So what Apple is telling me that I have to go buy another device with more storage that's built in because that's the only way you're going to expand it because there's no other way unless you do that. So to be honest with you, for years I never had a Windows machine, but I currently have a Windows 10 machine running right beside the iMac. And you probably saw it in one of my other videos I do with my office renovation. I don't know. It's like I have to have the variation of both worlds because there are some things that the Windows 10 machine does that the iMac doesn't do. And I can't figure out why I can talk to my Windows machine with a voice assistant built in, but Apple, who's had voice assistants on their devices for years, is not built into the iMac. I don't get it. And I think that's one feature that should have been in the operating system from a long time ago. But I can do that on the Windows 10. I can tell it to set a reminder, ask the weather. I can talk to my iMac and tell it to do me anything. Siri is running on the iPad, running on the iPhone, but it's not running on OS 10. That is very strange. Apple hasn't totally kicked me to the curb yet. I'm still on the bandwagon because I do like the iMac. I decided to do an upgrade because my iMac's been running since 2010, but it's actually a refurbished version which was built late 2009. So I went on their website and ordered the iMac 5K. When I got this thing, it was the most beautiful screen I ever seen. I mean, it's the pictures are so sharp and crisp. It's just no comparison to looking at another screen and looking at this, and can't give Apple the credit for making a screen that's so crisp. I have to give them that much credit. They make beautiful devices, but the way they execute the method of how the users interact with the device is kind of like limited. I mean, how hard is it to build a slot where you can add a memory card to your phone or to your iPad? I don't think it's that hard. I really don't think so. I think it's possible, but that's just Apple way of making you go to the next level. So at this current point, iMac 5K is where I draw the line. But I'm a little skeptical about this 5K iMac now because since I got it, it seems like the fans has been running at full throttle, even if I'm just searching the web. And I can't figure that out. I'm not doing anything that's process intense, but the fans are racing up to the top speed, and that's very strange. It shouldn't be running at top speed by just me surfing the internet. I can see if I was doing process intense work like encoding a video or creating some music or doing something, but just surfing the web, it shouldn't be racing up like that. And I don't understand what's going on. But I'm going to stick with it for now. I'm definitely out. I mean, I don't have an iPhone. I'm currently looking to get rid of the iPad, and I don't have any iPod or nothing else as far as Apple device because they literally kick me to the curb and just limit me on what I can do with my devices. Oh, and there's one more thing. Technically, two more things. First, the Apple TV. I have no interest in getting the Apple TV. For one, it doesn't support Amazon Prime. It doesn't. At this moment I'm making this recording, things might have changed, but at the point I'm making this recording right now, it doesn't support Amazon Prime. And that's a big negative for me because I'm a Prime member and it doesn't make sense for me to buy a device where I can't watch the Prime movies that I'm already paying for. Two, no 4K support. Currently don't have a 4K TV. Plan on buying one in the near future. And it would be nice to have a device that already have that capability already built in for when that time comes, so I don't have to buy a new device and upgrade when it was already built in there in the first place. And three, just like the iPhone and the iPad, no SD card slot. So therefore, I can expand the memory just like those other two devices. So instead, I went with Amazon Fire TV. It has Prime built in. It has 4K support. And it has an SD slot. So I can expand the memory when that time comes. I like that capabilities. Apple TV just don't have it. My obvious choice was to choose the Fire TV over the Apple TV. And last but not least, the Apple Watch. Now let's go over some key points why I'm not interested in the Apple Watch. First off, it only works with the iPhone. Of course, I just said earlier, I don't have an iPhone, so I guess the Apple Watch is not going to benefit me. It lasts up to 18 hours. Now, therefore, you have to charge this thing almost every day. And three, the cost. It starts at $349 and goes all the way up to $12,000. For $12,000, I'd rather buy a real expensive watch like a Tagore, Invicta, or Omega before I decide to buy a $12,000 Apple Watch. Now I have to make one point. The Android smartwatches are not impressing me either, so I'm not interested in either one of those. Now here is a device that I would get instead of the Apple Watch. It's called the Fitbit Blaze. It's a fitness device with smartphone capabilities. One key point, it works with most smartphones. Therefore, if you have an Apple phone, a Windows phone, an Android phone, no problem. It even syncs up to your desktop systems, OS X and Windows. Point number two, it lasts up to 5 days. That means I don't have to keep charging this thing every single day. I can just keep on using it, and by the end of the week is when I really probably need to charge it. Last point, the cost. Under $200. I can pick up this device. Now I can deal with that. That's like a smartwatch with a fitness device at a reasonable cost. If I want an expensive watch that costs $12,000, I'm not buying an Apple Watch. But I can spend $200 and pick this sucker up. So I choose the Fitbit Blaze over the Apple Watch. To end this spill about Apple kicking me to the curb, which they have done, I guess I have to say that I was a fanboy. I had at least 4, maybe 5 Apple devices at one point. In 2015, I literally just cleaned out all my Apple devices. And I went down to just one, which is the iMac. The current iMac I have, the iMac 5K, I'm still evaluating that. The verdict is still out. Because I really don't like the way the fan spins up at high speed when I'm doing simple tasks and nothing process intense. For now, I have, like I said, an Android phone. I'm looking for an Android tablet. I got the Fire TV. Plan on getting that Fitbit Blaze. I don't see any additional Apple device in my roadmap that I'm looking at to get. And even when they come out with that Apple car, even if they do, which is a rumor, I'm looking at getting a Tesla before I get an Apple car, honestly. So I want to say thanks to Apple for kicking me to the curb. One of your fanboys that loved your product but starting to hate them because of the way they work, or don't work, I should say. I've also invested in the stocks, and even that's going down. But that's another story for another time. And as always, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you like it, thumbs up. If you enjoyed the channel, subscribe. And if you have anything to say, good or bad, leave a comment. Thank you.